Hi guys, welcome back to Detailing and the Beast. Today we are going to be replacing the brake pads, just the pads, not the discs, on my Ford Ranger Wildtrak. This is a T6 model, so the newer one. And there are some things that we're going to need. Obviously, a new set of pads. We're going to need some synthetic grease. We're going to need a caliper rewind tool of some sort, or a large G-clamp if you've got one. You can then use the old brake pad and the G-clamp to rewind the caliper. We're going to need potentially a rubber mallet. I found that I did need this last time. An adjustable spanner, a large, a 13mm socket. You're going to need a large cable tie to tie the caliper up once it's been disconnected. Flat bladed screwdriver, potentially, some scissors to remove that cable tie after, a wire brush, and obviously some paraphernalia to get your car off the ground and the wheel removed. So first thing we've got to do is get the wheel off. And to do that, we've got to loosen all 6 nuts. Then we can jack it up into the air and take the wheel off. Now, I have got the handbrake on for this, and I have chocked both rear wheels. So once them nuts are slightly loosened off, get the car jacked up into the air and take the wheel off. So now with the wheel off, we can access the rear of the caliper. This is a 13mm pin here. This is another one here. Both of these need to be loosened off. There are these nuts here that need to be held in place by your adjustable spanner and then undone with your 13mm socket the other side. So at this point, I put my adjustable spanner on the inside nut, my 13mm on the back, and just loosen it off. This could be very, very tight, and if that is the case, just start hitting this one with your rubber mallet. Don't take these pins all the way out either, or else there'll be nothing to hold up the caliper, and it'll only be suspended by the brake line, and that's not a good place to be. Take the rear pin out at the bottom and then get ready to hold this entire caliper unit whilst you take the top pin out. And just wiggle the caliper off. You want to now be feeding your large cable tie through that hole up over the back. Difficult to do one-handed. And tying that off over that metal bracket at the top. That just keeps the weight off your brake pipe. Next thing to do is get out the old pads. These should be easy. The front ones I've always found being very, very easy. They should, with a bit of help from a flat bladed screwdriver, be careful, just pop out. So that's the first one. And the same for the back one. The back ones are a little tougher normally. And you can see that them are just about shot. Now you'll get 2 pads, obviously, per side. And they do look the same, but there is a slight difference in them. One of them has this wear indicator here. So this is the one for the rear, and then this one is the one for the front, without that indicator on it. And you also get 2 new anti-squeal clips as well. Them are for these here, so these will come out. We'll get them out in a second. We'll replace them. Grease on these ones, grease on the backs of the pads, and we'll refit everything. So to remove these clips, it's literally getting the case of getting the screwdriver in. These are going to be knackered anyway, so don't worry about bending them out of shape and literally peeling them out. So that's the top one. They're both the same, top and bottom. The new clips literally just push into place. Now that the clips are in place, the first thing I like to do is just check that these actually move freely in and out. These are the original bolts, so you know where they are. If they aren't moving freely, then you can pop them out and they're just full of silicone grease. But they look fine to me. There's the same at the bottom as well. Just check that one. Next, what you're going to need to do is install your new pads. So you've got two pads to install here. One on the front and one on the back. The one on the back is identified by that additional little wear indicator there, that silver piece of metal. So that's the one for the back. The other one going on the front. What you're now going to need to do, is why I've got a glove, is you're going to need to spread your grease. Now this will come in either in the box, or you should have some separate anyway. And you're going to spread the grease all over that metal plate there, so I'll get on and do that now. Should be a nice even layer. Make sure you don't get any on that side of the pad, and definitely don't get any on your disc. And now we're going to reinstall the pads, the new pads. So again, taking care not to get any of that grease on the discs. Doesn't matter whether you do the back one or the front one first. So with this distance now being much bigger than it was before, because there's a lot more meat on them pads, these pistons are too far out. So what we've got to do is get them going backwards. To do that, we either need a big G-clamp and one of the old brake pads. So you can put the old brake pad on there like that, put a G-clamp around the lot and tighten it up. That'll push the pistons back. Or if you've got an actual caliper rewind tool, you can rewind them with a caliper tool. Basically, all you're doing is pushing them in from the top and the bottom. So push that one in first, that one in second, and then it'll allow you to fit the caliper back around the extra meat that is now on that brake assembly. So at this point now you can chop your cable tie. Just make sure you've got a hold of your caliper. Again, you don't want that falling and swinging on the brake line. And then when that's done, what you can do is you can maneuver the caliper back into place onto the carrier, and that should fit nice and snug now that them pistons have been rewound. And at this point you can now put your two bolts back in. I would only get the first one in finger tight, just to be a locator, because sometimes they don't go in properly, and use that as a guide to fit the bottom one. Then it's just the reverse of what we did before. So you're going to put your adjustable spanner on that inner nut, just to keep it in one position. And that's the brake pads complete. There are a couple more things we need to do. The first one, obviously, is to get that wheel back on. But we also need to go and pump the pedal inside the car as well. Now, when you do this, obviously what you've been doing, you've been messing about with the pressure. You've been changing the pads. The pistons are at a different position. So what you're going to need to do is pump your brake pedal. Now, the minute you push your brake pedal, it'll go straight to the floor. Keep pumping it, and you're pushing fluid back through and pressurising the system. You might find that you have to do that a couple of times, but just check your brakes before you move off anywhere in anger. So that's the wheel back on. Final thing just before I go and show you inside with the pedal, always tighten these up. in a crosshatch star motion. So the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, for instance. Make sure that the pressure is even across the face of the wheel when it's bolted back to the hub. Obvious stuff, but hopefully it'll save somebody if you didn't know that already. Now, as I explained earlier, the brake pedal will depress quite a way, but if you keep pumping it, it'll solid up. Now, all I would do now is start the car, roll it back a couple of feet and just keep trying the brakes. It'll just feed the fluid through, make sure everything's nice and pressurised again, and then everything's good. So that's it, guys, how to replace your knackered brake pads on a Ford Ranger. If you found this video informative, please hit the thumbs up button. It'll tell YouTube to let other people know of this video if they're in search of the same thing. If you like what you see, go and check out my previous videos. I've got over 100 on there now, growing quite a little bit of a back catalogue. So go and have a look, see if you like what you see. And if you do, please go and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the bell notification. That'll make you aware when I next upload a video. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.